Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Fresh Off the Reel. My name is Lib.
My name is Bonus Pat. I think I made this exact joke on the first bonus episode, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we teased this a little bit in the last episode, which should be out by the time you're hearing this. We're gonna start doing more bonus episodes for you guys because we want to have some more stuff for you to listen to that's not 2 hours long.
Yep. Also, with school starting back for both of us soon, time to sit down and record might get a little sparse. So having these little bonus episodes to hold you over in between the actual episodes will be nice. Obviously the priority is still the podcast moving forward normally, but during the seemingly frequent month offs we take, it's gonna be nice to have just some little shorter content for you people to listen to and enjoy.
Yeah. So let's get this started. Recently, there was there were two films that came out on pretty much like it was on the same week. It wasn't the same day, but actually in some countries it was the same day. It was Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig, and Oppenheimer, directed by the one and only Christopher Nolan. You know, it was kind of like the Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing dual release. People started memeing it. It became this meme called Barbenheimer that I still hate. We watched it. We watched them both.
Yeah, we both did it. We didn't do it together. I did it while Lib was on vacation.
I was gone. I didn't exist that week.
It did not exist. But we both did it. We both have our scores up on our letterbox. If you're following that, you'll see. We could go over that once we get started. But there was a good time. I hadn't done a double feature like that in a while. It was nice. I had a lot of fun. Tired by the end of it, but it was fun.
Yeah, you know, I was very tired by the end of it. Both movies are pretty tiring. But we're gonna get started with Barbie because that's the one we watched first. Like even though we went separately, we both happened to watch Barbie first. So let's talk about that. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 4. I thought the movie was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good as well. A lot of the trailers made it look like it was just like a kids movie, like a Barbie's. That's not what it is, and that was the point of the marketing. It was meant to be misleading. I think it was to get guys to watch it. I think that's what the marketing ploy was. But yeah, it was actually a great movie. It was really funny. Comedies lately have taken a dip, I would say. Like there hasn't been a lot of good comedies. Glass Onion was funny, but I wouldn't call it a comedy. This movie was like jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes. It kept going like a comedy should, and it was actually really funny. The pacing was good. And I was very surprised by the quality of this movie. I'm gonna say surprised because I was expecting a stupid movie about toys, and I did get a lot of the stupidness because you know it's still about toys, but it's much more than that.
The stupidness kind of has a point, you know. Like I think the stupidness here kind of builds into something that isn't stupid, but you do get some you definitely get some goofiness, and but it's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. I think fun is a good way to describe this movie. There's a lot here to just kind of sit back and enjoy, while also delivering a solid message. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other half of this this double feature. But I think on its own, Barbie is fantastic, and unlike the other half of this double feature, I would definitely sit down and watch this again.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
honestly looking forward to watching this again. I think it just would get more enjoyable on rewatch. Where I could just kind of sit back and enjoy it for what it is. Yeah, it's fun. If you haven't seen Barbie, please do. It's great. I'm kind of speaking to the choir here because singing to the choir. Sorry, because obviously Barbie is doing very well financially. It's selling, so I'm sure most, if not all, listening to this have probably seen it. But if you haven't, please do give it a chance.
Funny thing, this movie was produced by Warner Brothers, and it is the highest grossing Warner Brothers movie of all time. The previous holder of that title was The Dark Knight. This movie passed The Dark Knight, which is insane.
Which is it's funny because Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. And if you've never seen other Greta Gerwig movies, there's only 4 feature-length movies. One of them is Lady Bird, a movie I hold in like very high regard. I was gonna say high standards. That was the wrong word. High regard. That movie is like one of the best movies ever made, objectively, I think.
I don't disagree. I've heard like three heavy hitters. I think they're all fantastic. I think she's probably the most consistent director currently in Hollywood. Obviously, that's like with three movies, that's not like a huge like stretch. But all three of her big releases so far have been bangers. Both Lady Bird and Little Women have gotten their recognition from the Academy and the general audiences alike. I think she's just really, really, really solid director, and I hope the Oscars this year throw her a bone and give her some more recognition that she wholeheartedly deserves.
You know, like I'm pretty sure Barbie is gonna get nominated for multiple awards at the Oscars. Actually, speaking of that, we got a date for the Oscars for next year's Oscars already. March 10th. It's gonna be on March 10th, 2024.
Variety's putting out their predictions. It's definitely going to be a Barbenheimer sweep this year. Between like all the categories, I'm sure Barbie and Oppenheimer will be nominated for most, if not all of them, honestly.
Yeah, I think Barbie's definitely Margot Robbie is definitely getting nominated for leading actress. The music in this movie is really good, but I think the music in Oppenheimer is actually a little bit better for original score, but for like the licensed songs, Barbie has better ones. There aren't any in Oppenheimer, I don't think. Yeah, no, there aren't. So yeah, there's a song, the credit song is
Billie Eilish's
it's
song.
Billie Eilish. She won 2 years ago at the Oscars. I think it was 2 years ago, yeah, for No Time to Die. That's probably a good candidate for best original song.
Yeah, I like the Dua Lipa song a lot. I don't think it's gonna get nominated, but at least not over Billie Eilish's song. But I do like "Dance the Night Away" a lot by Dua Lipa.
I like Pink by Lizzo. It was at the beginning. That song's really good too.
It's a good song. Which fun fact that I missed? I arrived 10 minutes late. And
So what, you
uh,
didn't see the beginning?
no, I've seen it now, but like since I watched like a version for the first 10 minutes. Man, I missed it when I got to the theater. That thing kind of sucked, but this timing didn't work out. I don't think I told you, Libs, like a story time for everybody in the audience had you. And I went to see Barbenheimer with some friends, and we got to the metro. It was down. It
Oh,
was down for reasons. So we waited like 30 minutes, no change. And then after that 30-minute wait, the metro system like speakers went off like, oh, it'll be down till 2:30. Our movie was at 2. It's like, well, fuck. Okay. And then we got in our car and we drove downtown. And driving downtown and where we're from isn't always the most convenient thing because our half our city's under construction. So we were two cars, right? So we were two groups of people. So by the time we all met up, we missed like 10 minutes of the movie. I didn't get to see the beginning in theaters, which kind of sucked because but I've heard the song since then. I've seen the beginning since then too, and yeah, that's the end of story time.
I really like the beginning. Is like it kind of feels like I'm gonna make this comparison. You might not get it at first, but I'll explain myself. It feels like the Lego movie. This movie feels a lot like the Lego movie. It's mainly because, you know, it's an ad, right? Like it's an ad from a company. They were like, let's make a movie. Lego movie was that, and it was good. A movie being a giant ad for a company is not a bad thing. There are good ones. Barbie is one of them. Lego Movie is one of them. And there's a lot of parallels to this movie, the Lego Movie. They both start the exact same way. For instance, of Barbie / Emmett from the Lego Movie, it shows their like daily routine, what their day is like every day, and then at one point they start questioning if real life is real, and then things start going wrong. Like Emmett, he starts making mistakes, and for Barbie, her feet go flat on the ground, which is a really funny scene when she's showing to all her friends and they're all freaking out that her feet are flat.
It's for the Tarantinos in the audience, you know.
She realizes that she's not actually drinking any liquid when she drinks her milk in the morning. Her toast gets burnt. You know, like slowly things start going wrong, and that leads her to want to find out why it's happening and to fix things. And it's actually a good plot. At first, you'd think like this wouldn't make sense, like toys existing in real life, and the people in real life know that the toy world is real. Like that's just a normal thing in this universe. You wouldn't think they would find a way to make it make sense, but they do. They find a way to make it make sense. They even got Mattel, the company that makes Barbie, to be the villains in this movie.
Yeah, it's fun. Like it's just a fun time. You wouldn't think something so goofy would work as well as it does, but it does. It's so good. When Barbie goes to the human world with Ken, who we haven't mentioned yet, but Ryan Gosling as Ken is fantastic in this movie. He's like he's right up there with Margot Robbie's performance wise. I think he's definitely gonna get a performance Oscar. I really hope so because he really deserves it for this movie. I don't want to say he steals the show because it is a Barbie movie and I think Margot Robbie's fantastic in this. But definitely think he's a second leg holding this whole thing together, like holding this thing up. He's so good. Yet Barbie and Ken going to the real world, and I'm kind of like learning that the world kind of sucks. That the things Barbie was created for in like the 40s and isn't like what happened. It's interesting. It's kind of like a grown-ups version of Toy Story, except instead of dealing with like bullies breaking toys, we're dealing with like real world implications of the power struggle and and the hardships women have to go through in the workforce and things along that line. It's interesting. We have an adult Toy Story now. Yeah, but it's fun. This movie's fantastic. It's funny you mentioned like a Lego movie because Will Ferrell was in both.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's the villain in both.
Who's great. I think like he's good at because he's he's not a villain. He's like the antagonist, I guess. But it's not that like Mattel is portrayed as evil per se. They're just kind of portrayed as insert big corporation here, which like Mattel obviously is. But like Will Ferrell isn't evil inherently, and I think it's just really funny because he's just a goofball who just kind of has business intentions with the world, which is fine. He's not necessarily in the wrong, but he's the bad guy because he's Mattel, and that's the joke they're telling. But he's great. I loved him here. I loved the side cast in general was also like surprisingly strong.
Yeah, we have Michael Cera's in this movie as Alan.
I want an Alan movie.
Alan's my favorite character in the movie because he's just like he's just the third wheel to every character. He's just standing there. He's like I feel like Alan is supposed to be the like insert for the audience because he's just standing there watching everything happen. He barely has any lines, and when he speaks, it doesn't change anything. It has no importance to the story at all. He's just a spectator to everything that's happening in the movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but he beats the shit out of a bunch of Kens. That's funny. Like he's like the comic relief in a movie that's generally pretty funny already. But he's that extra layer of comic relief, and it's really good. Speaking of Kens, I just like random note, but I'm on Letterboxd right now looking at the cast. And everybody's just cast as a Barbie or Ken.
Yeah, I know.
They're not really like they're not differentiated at all.
Margot Robbie's Barbie. Oh God, it's so hard to say Margot Robbie Barbie.
Margot Robbie's Barbie is a stereotypical Barbie.
Yeah, that's her title is the stereotypical Barbie, and Ryan Gosling's Ken is Beach Ken.
Beach Ken. He's Beach Ken. His job is beach.
And the reason why he tags along not only because he's in love with stereotypical Barbie, but because what if they need beach?
What if you go to the real world and you need beach?
What happens
What if there's
beach?
some beaching to do?
America Ferrera's also in this movie. I haven't seen her in years. It was such a surprise seeing her in this movie. I love her. She's a great actress, and she was great in this movie.
The only thing I've seen her in is the How to Train Your Dragon movies. At least like before this. I don't think I've seen anything else she's in, but she was really solid here, yeah.
I've seen her in TV shows. I haven't seen her in movies. And then what's the other main character, the kid, Sasha?
It's Sasha. She's played by Ariana Greenblatt. She's in like In the Heights, and I think she's one of. Don't quote me, but I think she's one of Hawkeye's kids. But don't quote me on that.
She's young Gamora in
she's young Gamora. I'm wrong.
Yeah. She's young Gamora. The main thing I know her from is she's gonna be Tiny Tina in the Borderlands movie, and that's gonna be so exciting to see. I can't wait for that movie.
I didn't know there was a Borderlands movie coming.
Yeah, she's Tiny Tina. I can't wait for that movie. That movie's gonna be so good. Well, hopefully that movie's gonna be so good. I don't know. Video game movies are They're coming up.
They're turning around. At the time of recording, the One Piece live action series is not out yet,
It's not a video game.
but we're getting reviews for it as of today. Not a video game, but like it's in. I find it's in the same like bargain bin of shit. They just had really bad adaptations. But apparently, the One Piece adaptation is actually like really good, from what the early reviews are saying.
No, it looks good.
So that's exciting. So maybe we've hit the time where we're finally gonna start having good video game and anime adaptations on screen. Apparently, that Twisted Metal show isn't bad either. The Anthony Mackie one. So like maybe we hit it. Maybe this is it. We're in the renaissance of not garbage adaptations of movies and anime.
So before we close off our thoughts on Barbie, Mattel, after the success of this movie, invested a lot of money into a film company, and apparently 14 Mattel properties are going to be made into movies.
Yeah, and that's like the lesson I didn't want them to learn from Barbie being a success. Is instead of like let's make good meaningful movies, we're just gonna make a bunch of movies based on toys. And I hope at the very least they get more talented directors like Greta Gerwig involved in these projects, and they're gonna actually be good. Am I hopeful? No, because we're still in the strike period, and we've heard the things studios have to say, so I'm not super hopeful. But we can only dream that Barbie wasn't an outlier, that this one is really good and it's going to lead to more really good, well cared for movies.
Let's hope, let's hope. But the main takeaway from that is I'm gonna steal this from another YouTuber. Sorry, I forgot the name. But when you hear it, you might recognize it. I don't know. But Pat, picture this. Okay, picture this. Because Mattel does own a particular board game slash card game. So picture this, Pat. Imagine like a Yu-Gi-Oh style like arena for card battles, like in the show. And
Okay.
and there's the main character. He's like freaking out. He's like, "Oh God, I don't know what I'm gonna do." He has cards in his hand. The other player, he's laughing at him. He's like, "What are you gonna do now?" And then he takes one of the cards from his hand, slams it on the ground. He only has one card left in his hand, and he says, "Uno."
I don't know what's going to be more epic, an Uno movie or the Magic 8 Ball movie.
Magic. Oh yeah.
Magic 8 Ball has to be like a whodunit murder mystery, right? Like,
Yes.
come
Oh
on.
my God.
It has to be something stupid like that. It can't be genuine.
Well, with that, great time with Barbie, and then we had to then endure the terrifying movie that is Oppenheimer. This is the first thriller I have seen in probably like 5 years. The thriller genre has kind of disappeared. Like, have you noticed that?
I can't remember the last like straight thriller I've seen. Yeah.
Oppenheimer is definitely that. And holy crap, Christopher Nolan is insane. I've said it many times before that he is my favorite, absolute favorite director. I love all of his movies. The only movie I kind of don't like is The Prestige, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, no, Nolan's fantastic. I don't think either of us need to sing his praises because everyone knows, right? We've all seen, The Dark Knight, Inception, like his catalog of movies. Even something like Tenet, that I don't think is all that great, is still good. I can't think of a movie Christopher Nolan has ever made that was just like, this sucks. Like this is bad.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah, there isn't. I can't think of one. At least not for the big budget stuff. The closest thing we get is like I'm kind of a hater of The Dark Knight Rises, but that's not a bad movie, right? Dunkirk is phenomenal. Inception, Interstellar, we don't need to even speak of like how good they are. Memento is fantastic. All these movies are held in such high regard for a reason. He's like a master of his craft. I think Oppenheimer continues to deliver. I think Oppenheimer was fantastic. You gave it 5 stars, right?
Yeah, I gave it 5 stars.
I gave it 4.5. I took off half a point there because near the end it was losing me a little bit. Not because it got boring, but because it is long.
Yeah, this movie is 3 straight hours of people talking to each other.
Yeah, and that doesn't need to be. I think they definitely could have shaved like a half hour of this runtime and it would have been fine.
I don't know. I was okay with the length. I did feel the length, but I was okay with it. It's hard to judge a biopic from like the content in the movie because this is what actually happened. You know, like it's hard to judge a biopic and be like, "Oh, this character shouldn't have done this because it's da 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 da." That's literally what happened. So it's hard to judge a biopic. It's just inherently difficult. I don't know the history behind actual J. Robert Oppenheimer. I don't know the actual history surrounding the stuff that happened at Los Alamos.
You know, like because you can't judge it as strictly the same way you would judge something like I don't know, like the Batman, right? Because this is a real story involving real people. Like it's a real event that happened. But I definitely think that this is still a movie, and there's some things that you didn't need to include. I'm a big fan of Florence Pugh, but I think a lot of her inclusion in this movie is kind of unnecessary. It is like kind of to give us some backstory into Oppenheimer's life outside of just being a scientist and his involvement with the nuclear bomb. Obviously, like he had a life outside of it, and to attach yourself to him as a person, you need to learn about his life outside of his creation of the bomb. So I get it, and she is kind of relevant. She does like her character does come up during the interrogation because obviously like Oppenheimer's wife is involved, and his history with what's her name
Jean.
is relevant to his like mental state and shit. So I get it. But she does have a lot of more screen time than I thought she was gonna have. But also not enough screen time considering the actress they got to portray her. It's a weird like middle ground. Where they got this huge actress to play such a small character, but I do think she's in the movie too much. It's weird.
I thought this movie was fantastic. I liked all of the slow scenes and just the scenes of people talking. It is at its core a character study of Oppenheimer, and character studies usually aren't very popular with the general audiences. But here's the actual amazing great thing that the whole Barbenheimer meme did. The meme only cared that Oppenheimer was about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But what the movie really is a character study. And what the meme did was get random everyday people to watch Oppenheimer. And that exposed this new audience to probably for them a new type of movie. A movie that doesn't have action, a movie that doesn't have music. It's a strange movie for a general audience member to enjoy. But they did because they went to watch it and then they liked it. Maybe they only liked it because of the meme. Maybe they liked it because they genuinely enjoyed it. Whether it is that or not, it got people in theater seats to watch this movie, and that's the important thing, really.
Like Christopher Nolan's a big name, so I definitely think it would have done well regardless. But the whole Barbenheimer craze definitely like made more people see it than they otherwise would have. So sometimes Twitter is good for something.
Yeah, sometimes. Only sometimes. It's very, very, very rare.
Sorry, X. X.
Oh, yeah. X, yeah. What a stupid rebrand. Just to complain about Barbenheimer one last time before we keep talking about the actual movie. Guys, can we just agree to not look for the next Barbenheimer? Because
it's not gonna work, because I think like Barbenheimer worked because Barbie's a competent movie. Yeah, it was two good movies. If one of these movies sucked, this would not have worked, right?
Just guys, don't force the next Barbenheimer, okay? It was funny for this, and it was funny for Animal Crossing New Horizons and Doom Eternal, but we don't need to keep looking for them. Okay, it's funny when it happens, I agree. It's hilarious when it happens, and it's great when it happens too, because it boosts the sales of both properties. Like what happened with this, because usually what happens when two movies come out at the same time, one movie gets a higher rating than the other one because either more people go to see one or more people go to see the other. But because these movies have been connected somehow since the beginning, people went to watch both. Both movies made essentially the same amount of hype, which is very rare. That doesn't happen. I mean, that never happens, really.
But it worked here fundamentally because both these movies were good.
But back to the actual movie, back to the topic at hand. Every single performance, Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. especially. Kenneth Branagh was actually really great in this movie too. Jason Clarke, Casey Affleck, Rami Malek, all of these performances were amazing. This is gonna be such a tight movie to choose one or even just two actors for an Oscar for this movie. We're talking Oppenheimer sweep, but like every nominee is an Oppenheimer actor.
Yeah, well, like I was kind of mentioning earlier that I think it's not too hard to believe. Like, it's not a huge stretch that every category at the Oscars is gonna have at least one of these two movies in it. But especially the four acting awards are gonna be super tight, because between both these movies, there's some phenomenal performances. I can't get over how good Robert Downey Jr. was in this movie. Coming after 10 years of watching him in Marvel shit to this man can act.
It is so refreshing to see Robert Downey Jr. in a serious, legit role. Not that Iron Man isn't legit, but I wouldn't call it serious. The last time I've seen him act this hard was in Zodiac, and that was years ago.
He shaped Tony Stark into being the character he is today. But Robert Downey Jr. was that, like, after seeing him in this, man, was he held back playing one character for 10 years. Because he has a range, and I'm so happy he's free to do movies he wants to do now. Because he's fantastic here. He definitely deserves some kind of acting award for this. He deserves it.
If this gets him his Oscar for best, I think it would be supporting actor.
Supporting actor.
If this gets him that Oscar, that'd be completely justified. I would. He's actually my pick. Like, he's my pick. If he gets nominated, that's great. If he doesn't get nominated, I'm gonna be so confused. Like, what is the Academy doing?
But there's so many other good performing supporting actors in this movie too. Matt Damon's fantastic in this movie.
Oh, Matt Damon is so good. Matt Damon's always been good. He's a great actor. I love him in Interstellar. I love him in Good Will Hunting, Saving Private Ryan, The Martian. He's even in Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12, I think. But he's such a great actor in such a large number of roles. He has such great range, like with Robert Downey Jr. It's just we're only discovering Robert Downey Jr.'s range right now because he's finally released from the clutches of Disney.
Like, I think if we could only have one actor from this movie being in leading and supporting, obviously Cillian Murphy is getting a leading actor role. Yes. He has to, right? Same with Emily Blunt. She's definitely getting a lead actress for this.
She's so fucking good in this movie too.
But if we could only have one supporting actor, and we like it's definitely between Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. It's tough. I can't pick one. I'd throw both on there. Honestly, they're both fantastic.
Yeah, I would throw both. I would throw every actor in this movie, every single one. Throw them all in.
Like, you put these two, and then you put I would put Ken himself. Because you are enough, guys. I would put him in supporting actor too, because he's lead actor, I guess. I mean, he would get a nomination for sure. But this movie has so many good performances, man. I was genuinely taken aback by how many big name actors are in this, and they're all solid. Nobody like even overshadows the other. They're just it's just like an amalgamation of great performances. It's so good. Even Josh Peck's in this, and I forgot Josh Peck was an actor, but here he is with like 2 lines, and he's great. I loved it.
There's Green Goblin from Amazing Spider-Man 2 in this movie.
Yeah.
Gotta throw in a Spider-Man reference just for good measure, even in the bonus episodes.
Every single one.
No matter what, we will find some connection to Spider-Man for every movie we talk about, but not Spider-Man movies. There's no connection to Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie.
I didn't know Rami Malek was in this movie when he appeared on screen. I'm like, oh shit, like another great actor. Like, this movie's just like banger after banger. But can we just take a second to talk about the scene where they set off the bomb? Like,
yes.
Like, chills. Like, I had goosebumps.
Yeah, that's in my like top 5 favorite movie scenes of all time. It was amazing. It was accurate. Christopher Nolan actually exploded a real bomb for that scene, not an atomic bomb, but like he used like I think it was a combination of like napalm and lighter fluid and a bunch of other chemicals to create an explosion that looks like a real atomic bomb explosion. It was accurate in terms of the sound too. When a bomb goes off, you don't hear it if it's too far away. You're only going to hear it when the sound waves reach you. And because of all the chemical reactions happening, the sound doesn't reach you very quickly. It's still like a matter of less than a minute, but in the movie they make it feel like an eternity because you're seeing this bright light, this blinding, and you're seeing all the fire and the explosions and everything, but it's dead silent. You don't hear anything. And then all of a sudden the sound waves hit the characters as well as hitting the audience. Cause man, watching this in IMAX, the whole movie, like every so often there's these cut-in scenes of Oppenheimer thinking about the bomb and chemical reactions and things like that, and the sound coming from those speakers, like it felt there was wind coming towards us with those speakers, man. IMAX speakers, they really make a difference. Like there's people out there that don't believe in IMAX. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy, man. IMAX definitely changes the experience, and it changes it for the better. And seeing that scene in theaters, the sound of the explosion finally hitting you, it's unforgettable, and it's terrifying because a real bomb is that times magnitudes more.
When you're sitting in your chair and like you know it's coming, obviously, like the whole this whole scene is building into it, so you know it's there, and it still caught me off guard. It was such a like it was an experience. That's all I can really say. It was an experience.
I would not watch this movie again, but I would sit down in an IMAX theater to see that scene again because it's such a powerful scene.
But on that, I would not watch this movie again.
Yeah, it's one, it's really long, but two, all of that tension is too much. When I came out of the theater, I was tired because I was on the edge of my seat. I was tapping my feet. I was gripping the armrest the whole time. Christopher Nolan is a master at making you feel anxious the whole movie. He has this way of implementing human emotion in his movies like no one else can. He just has this way of doing it. It's hard to explain. It's why all of his movies are like super long, but he's just this purist for film. Everything he does has to be done his way and it needs to be done perfectly. And I'm sure it's a pain in the ass to make the movie and to work with him, but the final product is always good.
We can only say so much about Christopher Nolan because everyone knows, right? Like he's Christopher Nolan. We all know who he is. We all know what kind of impact he has on film as a medium. Like this movie was such a visual spectacle. In terms of audio, it was fantastic. This movie is sweeping this year at the Academy Awards. There's no way it doesn't.
For every audio and visual award, Best VFX Oppenheimer, Best Sound Oppenheimer, Original Score Oppenheimer. I can't stress enough how good this movie sounds.
And not even in like a Oscar bait kind of way. It's that good. Like if it doesn't win, I'll be surprised.
Even like this is definitely, and Barbie as well, they're both getting nominees for Best Picture. I'm sure of it. I don't know if they will win. We still have a lot of the year left to go. Some movies are still coming out.
Some movies still coming out. Some movies are already out that I think are more deserving of that spot, but that's besides the point. But they're both definitely going to get nominated, like easy. Two very easy Best Picture noms. There's no way it doesn't, right? It can't. There's no reality where they're both not nominated for Best Picture.
The only way I would be okay with Oppenheimer not winning Best Picture is if Cocaine Bear won.
Yeah, I'm sad Cocaine Bear won't be at the Oscars again this year because they won't do that joke twice.
Well, maybe they'll say something about it. Let's talk real quick about the Oscars lineup, because what do we have this year? We got Barbie, Oppenheimer. We have Across the Spider-Verse, which I think is good enough to make it finally break that glass ceiling and make it to a Best Picture nomination, because not even Into the Spider-Verse could pass that. But Across the Spider, I think the only animated movie to ever get nominated for Best Picture was Beauty and the Beast. I could be wrong about that, but if Across the Spider-Verse reaches that many people and goes to Best Picture, I would be okay with it winning.
I definitely think it will. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think it will. Apparently, Up and Toy Story 3 were nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
But still, like Toy Story 3 was like almost 15 years ago. That's a long time.
Like even last year for Pinocchio, I feel like that was good enough for a Best Picture nomination. Much more than Elvis. Like, come on.
The Academy will always be the Academy, right? But I do think at the very least, Barbenheimer is an easy shoo-in for Best Picture. I really hope Spider-Verse also gets there. I'm not holding my breath because we all know how the Academy feels about animated movies, but like those are already like 2, maybe 3 really solid picks for Best Picture, and we're not even done the year yet.
Yeah, we still have a lot to go. Big Shark is still coming out, so we'll see.
This big Shark's still coming. Still gonna take the world by storm, I think. We have another potential Best Picture nominee right there. Yeah, I've been kind of slacking on watching movies released this year. I'm trying to change that, but I'm sure like there's a ton of international stuff that'll get some recognition. Because there's always that one, right? Every year.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one is this year, but I'm gonna find it.
Closing thoughts. Just because I rated Oppenheimer higher than Barbie, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, because it's not fair to compare both of these movies. Like, one is a drama thriller and the other one is a comedy. They're not comparable. We're comparing apples to onions here. It's weird what Barbenheimer is doing, forcing people to compare two movies that have nothing to do with each other, and it's fun to do that. It's really fun to do that. But once you like actually start breaking each movie down like we just did, they are fundamentally different. And it's not really fair to compare the two. So I'm not saying Oppenheimer is better than Barbie because I rated it higher. Barbie does exactly what it's trying to do and it does it great. And Oppenheimer's doing exactly what it is trying to do and it does it great. Both movies are both in high regard. The question isn't which movie is better. The question is, why are they both so good? And then we answered that question today.
I have a closing statement that I definitely stole from Letterboxd. So you ever think about how Oppenheimer is technically a summer blockbuster? It's funny. A movie like Oppenheimer is technically a summer blockbuster.
You know, Barbie fits the description of a summer blockbuster better. Oppenheimer is more of a not that.
Yeah, no, not that.
I was trying to think of a word.
But it fits the bill based on the money it made.
Yeah,
So
based on money it made and the time it came out, it is a summer blockbuster.
Eat your heart out, Avengers Endgame.
Oh man, you know some theaters clapped when Albert Einstein showed up on screen in Oppenheimer?
Someone I was with pointed at the screen like it was a big reference. like a fucking superhero just appeared on screen. They did the same thing when John F. Kennedy's name was drawn.
Oh yeah, that too. Oh man, that's just, man, what does cinema come to? It's all references and cameos.
It's just yep.
Well, maybe that's a topic of conversation for another bonus episode. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But thank you guys so much for listening to this. This was a fun little short bite-sized episode here, double feature. We won't be doing backlogged for these because they're bonus episodes. You know, we're only gonna do backlogged for our main episodes. It's probably a good idea to start doing these little shorter ones, and you know, easier to edit.
Easier to edit. We get stuff out a little bit more consistently when we're both busy. You guys get more quality content. Everybody wins.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked it and you want to hear more, make sure to follow us on social media on X and Instagram, which you could find on our link tree. That's linktr.ee/freshoffthereal, no spaces, no caps. There you'll also find a place where you could recommend us a movie or TV show. We'll take those recommendations and make them into episodes. And then you'll also find our Letterboxd accounts so you can keep up with what movies we're watching. Maybe you'll even get spoilers on which episodes become bonus episodes now.
True.
So make sure to follow us on Letterboxd. And of course, we want to know if you liked this episode, so if you're listening on Spotify, then go ahead in that Q&A section and let us know what you liked about the episode, what you didn't like about the episode. You could also do the same thing in the YouTube comments if you're listening on YouTube. But that being said, thank you guys so much, and we'll see all of you in a theater near you. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.
We're recording, we're live,
Wow.
we're on air.
Wowee.
This is fresh off the real radio. All right.